This movie is about a man who likes to shout things through gaps in doors. Jack Nicholson plays the man with this obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Wait, no. For reals? Okay, cool. Well, hello there, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Confused Breakfast Podcast. Do you remember the pure joy of a trip to the video rental store as a kid?
I do.
The excitement of walking down the aisles, browsing the names and the artwork, and finally deciding on the movie you were going to take home with you. Sure, it's hard to beat the ease of the modern era and streaming platforms where you don't even have to leave your couch, but there was something truly special about making that trip as a child, asking your imaginary friend who lives in your finger what movie he wants to see, and going home to watch it. On this podcast, we revisit and dissect some of our favorite childhood movies from that magical era to see if they still move us the way they did as kids. I'm your host, Mike Schulte, and joining me, as always, one guy who absolutely loves this movie and another who probably didn't even watch it. Shaun, Pryor, and AJ Vance, how the heck are you?
Yep. You're right on.
Give it to me, Daddy.
Never again, at least.
You're a long bitch.
Yeah, well, that's what she said.
Yeah.
A long bitch.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
He knows what I'm saying.
Come on, guys.
Everybody knows. All right, boys, time to introduce today's movie. On this episode, we discuss one of the scariest movies of all time, a psychological thriller that only gives us 2 deaths, yet frightens the bejesus out of all of us. Number 66 on the IMDb top-rated movies of all time,
Way
and
too low.
perhaps the most parodied pop culture referenced movie of all time. We are, of course, talking about 1980's The Shining. And for those of you looking to get a refresher on the movie quick, HBO Max, our trustworthy streaming platform, has this rolling as of the middle of February 2022. Do you guys know what HBO Max stands for?
Oh, no.
I only found this out recently.
I
but
did
I'm going to
too.
let you
Home
say
box
it.
office max?
No. Like, I thought it was like extra special HBO,
Yeah.
like to the max.
Yeah.
No, it's HBO and Cinemax combined. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I guess that's what it stands for. But for some reason, I still need a goddamn Cinemax subscription off of Amazon
fuck?
to watch other shit. Never mind. Let's leave this in a happy place, guys.
Happy place.
While you're there, watch other Kubrick movies because he's all Warner Brothers. He's just got the Warner Brothers catalog on there. So
Look at that.
Give yourself have a good time.
Lord and Savior Stephen Kubrick.
Stan Kolbrowski.
All right, so in order to properly dissect and review the movies that we do with the modern eye, we must first dissect it and strip away the pure nostalgia, but we have to talk about the nostalgia first. So,
Yeah.
AJ, let's start with you. Tell us the first time you saw this movie and what your rating of it.
Yeah, AJ, let's
Started
start
with
with
the
you.
wrong person. The
always start
wrong
with AJ.
person. We always start with AJ, and if there's one time I wish we would have changed it up, but that's fine. I gotta tell you, I've probably only seen this movie in bits and pieces between my hands and finding reasons to go to the bathroom and the microwave, and see what's in the fridge.
You went to the bathroom in the microwave?
Yeah. I took it in there and almost. Never mind.
Okay.
And so almost had a Phil Collins in there.
That's right. You did.
No, but I gotta say, man, like I've only seen this in bits and pieces, and I'm not going to say that I've never seen it before. Okay, it's not that. It's the fact that I don't think I've seen this in its entirety. Okay, but there's so many references to this movie, it's impossible not to know a lot of like pieces and parts of the movie. So, of what I have seen, of what I know about it, I'm honestly going to give you, and y'all know me, it's too spooky. This is not okay, and so I'm sorry. I've just got to give it a 3.8.
3.8? This is Shaun, this is nostalgia ratings, okay?
I know.
Okay, 3.8
It's okay.
from AJ. Shaun,
I'm fine.
Shaun,
Spooky.
we're going to skip Shaun. It's a 10. I'm on to me. Shaun, what's your nostalgia rating?
I came out of the womb watching this movie. You fucking know it. Just planted
right.
in my eyes. No, I was scared shitless of this movie when I first saw it, like for real. And I mean, we'll get to it, but I still think it's one of the scariest movies ever made. I had to have seen it really, really young, probably around 10 or something like that. And that was kind of bits and pieces, and then renting it from the video store, and then watching it in its entirety with like my family and stuff like that. The twins would always haunt me as a kid. Just the uncanniness of everything would always haunt me. But I have grown out of that to love horror movies, obviously, and I'm here to tell you today that back then I would probably give it a 7.
7. Okay. For me, this movie was a big, huge yuck and yikes for me when the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
It just it literally, like, I would only walk in during the most fucked up shit, like Danny's ridiculous voice as a kid, like when he's talking, and the old lady cackling, the guy in the fucking bear suit. Like, that's when I would walk into this movie and I'd say, no thanks.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this. I don't want anything to do with this. So, like, we're being honest here. We've given some movies 10s as nostalgia. This is like a 1 for me on a nostalgia rating.
Wow.
And remember,
you got a ways to go.
We got a ways to go. But that takes us to a 3.93 as a nostalgia rating, which is officially our second from the bottom. Princess Bride is the lowest, and then this movie, of course, The Shining, and then Groundhog Day. So
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little afraid to give it lower than I did. I'm glad Mike did.
It's nostalgia rating, dude. You can
No,
forgive me. I didn't know.
No, I appreciate what you said because I think it's probably lower than me.
Huge yikes for me.
I was never going to seek this movie out. What the hell am I thinking?
Never.
Giving it a 3.8.
I'll have to learn to live with it.
I guess.
All right, so next we like to lock down all the pertinent, important details of the movie. We're just going to let Shaun talk, and then we're going to call this episode part 1, and then we'll come back next week where we actually talk about the scenes of the movie.
Sounds great.
So, Shaun, you go ahead and do it, man.
Okay, Here we go. Produced by Stanley Kubrick.
Can you just Kubrick stare this whole time you talk?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Actually, I don't know if I can.
I don't think just stop.
Produced by Stanley Kubrick and Jan Harlan. Written by Stanley Kubrick and Diane Johnson. Based off the novel by Stephen King. Cinematography by John Alcott. Music by Wendy Carlos and Raquel Elkind. Edited by Ray Lovejoy. Directed by Stanley motherfucking Kubrick. Come on.
Get on now.
Here's the cast. Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd, Scatman Crothers, Barry Nelson, Philip Stone, Joe Turkel, Ann Jackson, and Norman Gay. After the release of Barry Lyndon, the film, while receiving high critic praise, did not perform well at the box office. Looking for a financial success, Kubrick went looking for the perfect novel to adapt when he found The Shining, throwing books until he found... So what he would do in his office... He was like he wanted to adapt books, and he thought that like the script writing process or like scripts in themselves weren't literary enough to like be transferred onto a screen well, and so he wanted to, and like most of his, I think all of his movies are adapted from novels.
Yeah.
And so his secretary has a story where she like could hear him like throwing books at the wall when he didn't like them, and then she just one day suddenly heard him not throwing anything, and it was The Shining. He loved it. Jack Nicholson was Kubrick's first choice for the part of Jack Torrance, but he had other ideas in case he wasn't available. Robert De Niro, Harrison Ford, and Robin Williams were all backups for the role.
Okay. I would like that, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams would be kind of good, right?
I want it, to be completely honest. I do.
Jack Nicholson was made for this role, but if you're gonna pick a B, like, okay, Robin Williams.
I would want to watch that 100 times. So there you go.
Looking for the actor to portray Danny was a challenge, sending his assistant Leon Vitali to several American cities to interview 5,000 children. Kubrick eventually found Danny Lloyd.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. His assistant, Leon Vitali, who was in Barry Lyndon, there's a documentary about him on Netflix called Film Worker, and it's just like about him like literally doing research for Stanley Kubrick for like all of his movies from Barry Lyndon on, and it's extensive bullshit. He also wanted the Danny character to like have an American accent that was kind of in between Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson. So he literally went to the Midwest, and I think he found him in Illinois. Adapting the book to film, Kubrick employed author Diane Johnson to help with the script. Coming off of her novel, or I think it was a novella, The Shadow Knows, which Kubrick was a fan of, the pair got to work on the script. The film was the film shot mostly in Elstree Studios in London. However, the exterior shots were shot in Mount Hood, Oregon, at the Timberline Lodge, serving as the outside facade of the overlook, while the beginning flying shots were shot at Glacier National Park in Montana. The Shining was initially released on Memorial Day weekend on 10 screens in New York and L.A., but eventually made a wide release, and to this day has made $47 million worldwide, spawned a television remake, a sequel, and has gone on to be one of the most famous and talked about horror movies of all time.
And like I said in the intro, parodied. I mean, every movie.
Yeah.
You think of The Simpsons, and you think of all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hit when it came out too, like the 10 cities kind of thing. Like that was just like initial run, but then when it came out, it kind of
Word
bombed.
of mouth at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, well, before we dive into this full scene-by-scene review, AJ does the research for us, talks about the critical ratings, fan reviews of this movie. What do you got, man?
I got a lot to go through here. Speaking of a lot of red coming into a hallway, I'm just trying. I can't do it. I'm not as good as Mike with this.
Go with it, man.
This is where we got to start in the red, tasty place of the tomato meter. Yeah, we got our own sound bite.
We have to make a sound bite.
All right. This is certified fresh. The tomato meter, 84% critical.
That's a little lower than I would have thought, man.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
That is number 16 of any movie we have done for critical ratings. It is right above Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right below Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. 93% audience score from Rotten Tomatoes.
A little better there.
A little bit better. Moving over to IMDb, right on par pretty much, 8.4.
So that's top 3 for us.
Yeah.
That is
really?
Matrix is 8.7, T2 is 8.5, and The Shining is 8.4.
Nice.
Number 3 of all the movies we've done.
All right, IMDb.
So I will take you through some criticals here. Okay. So one of my favorites that I'll start here. This is right midline, 75 out of 100. However, they like to take it through in Metascore. Boston Globe. When you sit down for The Shining, you sit down with normal expectations of being diverted, perhaps even being gripped, but not being undermined. But the film undermines you in powerful, incoherent ways. It's a horror story for people who don't like horror stories.
Okay.
Which I agree with.
Yeah, I think so.
That's kind of apt.
I'm not a horror
the jump
story
scare type horror story.
I'm not that kind of person.
Okay.
So I always talk about spooky movies and such, and what I don't like. Like this is actually we'll get to it, but this has become very watchable to me.
Yep.
For this movie, and I'm not a scary movie person, right? Jay Scott at the Globe and Mail in Toronto, our neighbors to the north. They said Kubrick certainly doesn't fail small. One could fast forget The Shining as an overreaching, multi-leveled botch were it not for Jack Nicholson. That's about it.
Wow,
That's all I want to give you from that.
Okay.
That was a 38 out of 100. Okay. Now, on the other end of this, though, we had Roger Ebert.
Okay.
Roger Ebert really gave a lot of praise to this movie.
Didn't he initially hate it though, and then he revised his thoughts?
It's like a revision. Yeah.
He
So
initially was
I found probably the revision.
Okay,
of it,
cool.
Right?
Is that true? Have you heard that?
4 stars.
I haven't heard that, but I've heard him. I've heard of him doing that to certain movies, which is why I like him as a critic, even though sometimes he does kind of get it wrong. He'll come back to a movie and give it another chance. I'm like, okay, I was missing something back then.
He did that with Blank Check.
Okay. But the opposite way, probably.
It was the opposite way. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he's like, I've got to run through the greats. Shining.
He was already
Indiana Jones.
Blank
Check. Oh, wait a second. What the hell's that doing
he
up
was
there?
already having a good day when he first saw it. So he's like, I liked it a lot. I don't know what to say.
Every kid's dream.
Look, this is a lot of fun. All right.
Just for the record, I try to bring up Blank Check in every review.
I can tell.
Have you noticed that?
We should revisit it.
Maybe it's time for a revisit. So I'm gonna take some excerpts from this. Stanley Kubrick's cold and frightening The Shining challenges us to decide who is the reliable observer. Who is it in the events that we can trust? Kubrick delivers this uncertainty in a film where the actors themselves vibrate with unease. There is one take involving Scatman Carruthers that Kubrick famously repeated 160 times. Was that perfectionism, Or was it a mind game designed to convince the actors that they were trapped in the hotel with another madman, their director?
Yikes.
Did Kubrick sense that their dismay would be absorbed into their performances? There is no way within the film to be sure with any confidence exactly what happens or precisely how or really why. So those are little pieces and parts I took from him, and I think he, like I say, in the end, he gave it 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
Like again, giving a lot of praise because it really leads with a lot of uncertainty in the film. Let's get some fun shit going here. Okay.
Let's get that 1 out of
Well,
10.
no,
Come on.
let's get that 1 out of 10. I
me
got
mad.
a couple 1 out of 10s for you. Okay.
Trying to make me mad. This is cool.
All right. Let's. I just want to see what Shaun's reactions are. Okay. So this was in September 1st, 2011. It says it's not a horror movie. It's a movie about a crazy guy. 1 out of 10. I searched the top 10 horror movies on IMDb and found out that this was one of them. So I watched it. But then I realized this a movie is not horror. It just made me feel like it's disgusting. First, Jake saw a naked ghost and he was so happy. That's not right. He's married. And how come he just acted like nothing happened? He said he will do anything for the son, but then he just lets those ghosts, quote unquote, control him and hurt his son and wife. And then the rest of the movie is just a crazy guy and how to kill his wife. He's just crazy, people. I don't understand why people think this is a great movie. Because Jake is crazy?
It doesn't say Jake.
It says Jake.
I just wanted to make sure that
It
you're
says
not
Jake. No, it says Jake.
He did watch.
And I think watch this movie is an awful experience.
I thought he was like referring to a friend he was watching it with or something.
Jake.
Jake saw somebody naked and he really liked it.
I thought too.
Maybe Jake is his imaginary friend.
Jake's his finger buddy. Maybe we should come up with a new term other than
Quit
finger
watching,
buddy.
Jake. Don't watch this, Jake.
Jake the finger buddy. How about one more? All right. 1 out of 10. A Face in the Door. This is by Pathetic Cinema.
You got it.
August 26th, 2008. Looks like Pathetic Cinema, but it's all one word. We were having a little good time.
Pretty
too.
good.
Warning! Spoilers! Oh no! Oh man!
We need a soundbite for that, by the way.
Spoilers!
No! An air raid siren.
This movie is about a man who likes to shout things through gaps in doors. Jack Nicholson plays the man with this obsessive-compulsive disorder.
Wait, no. For reals? Okay, cool.
Disorder. For 2 hours, he goes around smashing in doors and sticking his face through the hole he's made. Here's Fred. Here's Eddie. Here's Chris. Here's Bryan. This goes on and on and on. I expect more from Stanley Kubrick. The person who wrote the story for this should be scolded. It's just so monotonous. Here's Simon. Here's Quentin. Here's Keith. How anyone can watch a man going around shouting through gaps in doors for 2 hours is beyond me. For goodness sake, even the poster has his face sticking through a hole in a door. Okay, we get it. General idea. Enough already. There it is. Sorry, Shaun.
Shaun's laughing. He thinks this is great.
Oh, no, man.
love those.
I don't know what these people are doing. They're just...
AJ wrote all of these.
I love those.
I post-dated them on IMDb, everything.
Was that all you got, man?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, my dudes, what do you say that we attempt to save our failed marriage and overall failed, pathetic life by moving into a hotel in the middle of nowhere in pure isolation for 5 months while we attempt to write a book, even though we have zero writing talent, ideas, or help? Pack your bags, dust off your shining ability, and jump into my yellow Volkswagen Beetle. Here's Johnny!
Let's go.
Let's do this. All right. Scene 1. So Jack Torrance drives to an interview for a caretaker job at the Overlook Hotel. The hotel manager offers him the job but warns Jack about the risks of staying alone in isolation in the hotel. Jack acknowledges the warning but accepts the job. Meanwhile, Jack's son Danny, who is back at home, has a seizure while talking to his imaginary friend Tony about the Overlook Hotel. Upon Danny's arrival at the hotel, head chef Dick Halloran recognizes that Danny is telepathic. While Jack and his wife Wendy are shown around the hotel, he explains things about his gifts as well as the troubled past of the hotel.
The opening credits. with the music, it just gets you right into it. It just tells you exactly what this movie is going to be, and it's just dread. You know, the score by Wendy Carlos and the other woman, Raquel Elkind, is like fucking terrifying.
It is terrifying because because it's like you're listening to it and you're like, this is just madness. It's like you know, you ever see somebody play on like the MIDI scroll like tool?
Chaos pad.
Yeah, they're just like, That's what the soundtrack was kind of to me. I'm like, this is just chaotic and it's unnerving, and now I get it, I guess.
I laughed my ass off at the intro because of the power of music. We always talk about this.
Absolutely.
If you take that soundtrack away and you put Yakety Yak on there, it's the fucking Great Outdoors. It's just like,
that's very true.
Oh, yeah. Like, look at this beautiful scenery. We're driving to the mountains.
As much as
amazing.
Just like I want a horror cut of like heavyweights, I want a family comedy cut of The Shining.
I think there's one out there.
I need that.
I think there's like a YouTube thing or something.
Please link us to it. It's like,
please tell
Jack
us
Torrance is a man who needs a break.
Besides the actual score that Kubrick hired, like a lot of the music is from other like composers and stuff like that. So like a lot of the string stuff that you hear later is Krzysztof Penderecki and Gregory Ligeti, who we also used in 2001: A Space Odyssey. So a lot of that music was not written for the movie. It just, like, we'll get to it, but it works so perfectly for certain scenes and certain things.
You feel unease completely from the start of this movie. A lot of these type of movies like to lull you into a nice sense of like, this is gonna be fun, I promise.
Comfort, huh?
Not right off the bat, you're like, God, fuck, what's gonna happen?
They're just keeping those strings in there, and it's just constantly making you uneasy.
Yeah.
So, like I say, to its credit, it definitely does its job.
You guys don't. I mean, you can say whatever you want. You don't have to because I'm here.
I'm going to talk some shit.
Okay. It's just fine.
Okay,
keep going. We'll get there.
Here's my number one. I'm going to talk some shit. This seems like a terrible business model for a hotel.
I think so. I gotta say,
let's open for 5 months and then let's close and hire someone that's probably going to kill his family.
And how much does he get paid to do this?
It can't be much.
It can't be much. Like you're paying someone to your house sit.
It's like going to work on a cruise ship. Like you don't get paid much, and you're going to sign a 6-month contract, but we'll take care of your food and your boarding.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound that bad. You basically have no like real bills unless you want to make them.
Whatever he's getting paid, he's saving.
Yeah,
because he's not spending any money.
Right.
Would you guys go do that?
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
I don't know.
I would do it. I know I'm just like anyone would just take this. Why wouldn't they do it? If there was at least a decent amount of pay to do it, and like I'm legit just like going and hanging out, right? And like if I could, I'm not a writer, but if I could take like a guitar,
right,
I'd be there.
But like if you had a side job that was like writing or something like that, like that would be perfect. You know, like I just need some time to fucking just be with the pages and that's it. You know, what else are you gonna do? If, like light up the boiler and make sure all the rooms are get heated here and there.
That's
and
kind of what they say, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like otherwise I'm just like playing video games.
Yeah,
but you're not in the 80s though. You're doing nothing.
I know.
It's true.
I've got
nothing. You can't even ski. They don't even do skiing.
They don't even do skiing. Yeah, it's like, it seems like skiing would be great around here. It's like, yeah, actually, we decided not to put that into our business model. We decided that we didn't want to add that in because we don't like making money.
The skiing would be fantastic. Yeah, you'd think so.
You would think so.
Oh, man. I bet it is. I wouldn't know.
I don't know.
It turns out when you ski, the fucking Indians shoot arrows at you.
Yeah, we don't want that.
You had to repel a few as we were building it. I don't know.
The bear country is just a little crazy for it.
Dude, so Jack literally from the start seems like an absolute piece of shit.
Right off the bat.
Unstable fucker.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
And that was one of Stephen King. Stephen King hates this movie.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. I suppose we should make that.
Yeah.
Get that out there.
Everyone probably knows Stephen King fucking despises this movie.
Yeah.
And it's because Jack has no redemption, which he does in the novel, and Jack is kind of like a kind of a cool guy in the beginning, and he just slowly goes crazy. And in this movie, obviously, like we're saying, Jack is just crazy from the start, it seems.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the casting of, because Stephen King didn't even approve of Jack being cast.
Yeah.
I thought
this.
of Amityville Horror right off the bat,
Yeah.
especially the newer one with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess it's not new, but how he's like a very likable guy.
Yeah.
And then you feel for him that he's being taken over.
That's what it
I
is.
don't feel anything towards Jack Nicholson's
Correct.
character.
That's the thing is and again why I was saying earlier, like, man, I would have loved to see Robin Williams in this, because you could absolutely have believed right up front, like, oh my God, what a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's probably had some mishaps and stuff, but he's really trying. Where in this, I'm like, there's no way he even told his wife about the horror story that he heard.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't
You're
tell them.
right.
He didn't want to like leave them in any sort of like situation where they could say, I don't know, this feels kind of weird. He just said, yep, I'm taking the job and my family's
going.
coming with me. You're going to love it here.
Yeah, not even that he's crazy off the bat. He just hates his family.
Yeah.
He
right off the
completely
bat.
does.
Like
Yeah.
he's just completely dejected by them. Anytime someone says something, he's just like, "Yep."
Well, you should have eaten your breakfast.
That drive in itself, like he doesn't even want to talk to his son until he's able to talk about cannibalism to
Yeah.
his 5-year-old kid. Then he's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm going to talk about." Hey
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
you want to hear a story about how people eat each other?
Yeah.
And he gets that weird Jack Nicholson smile too. It like
Smirk, man.
smirks up. You're like, ugh.
It's his face, man, is so much
It
of
is.
this character. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but at the same time, like I say, I think I would have been much more into this story if I believed he was not this way to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Even when he calls her from the hotel saying like, "Sounds like you got the job," and he says like, "Hey, babe," that's weird. That seems weird to me.
Yeah.
It seems like he rehearsed that.
Coming up in this scene too, he puts his arm around her. Like the only time he ever shows affection to her, he puts his arm around her when they walk away.
Yeah.
When they're talking to Dick Halloran, and even
Right.
that felt weird to me.
Yeah, it just seems unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing about him seems natural.
And maybe that was just his natural affection to Shelley Duvall.
maybe. Yeah.
I mean, we'll get there, but going back a little bit when Danny does like kind of have a seizure or whatever from talking to Tony and seeing the red blood elevator. So that was real. That's all like real blood or like real fake blood in the elevator where they just poured out, and that's the trailer. That shot is the trailer back in the day.
Oh.
But the MPA was like, we can't have blood coming out of a fucking elevator for this. He's like, oh, it's not blood, it's rusty water. They're like, okay.
That checked. Hey, does that check out to you?
good.
Yeah, that checks out.
Oh, yeah. I'd buy that. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everybody knows that rusty water comes out of an elevator.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Elevator, water, yeah, it's all
We're
it's all
good.
good to me.
Well, is
Green light.
there like a water leak or something that we don't
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, that's the fun of it.
You're gonna have to watch.
I'm
the
gonna
movie
have
and
to
find-
watch. I can't give it away.
Did you see him in the theater like, that motherfucker lied to
Yeah,
us?
he's like, he did his blood. Dang it.
They kinda-
Dang it.
Warner Brothers
it.
did kind of let him do whatever the fuck he wanted, though. Like Warner Brothers, the reason he worked with them so much was because they gave him final cut on everything. Like all of his movies and all like the promotion and everything was all him. He did everything.
I know he's very highly regarded, but he also seems kind of like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like to points where you're like, it's got to be your way or the highway. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm sure at this point they're just like, whatever, dude. Just do it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
When she's talking to the nurse or whatever, even she kind of seems like she can sense something, like because she tells the nurse that
The broken
what Jack
arm or
did,
whatever, yeah.
and she, I mean, it may just be the kind of the way that Stanley Kubrick just directs his actors with like no emotion, you know. But it just seems like she's like, you know what? I actually hypothetically, if you guys were to like go take care of a hotel like in the next couple days or something like that, and you were just gonna like hang out all together and just do that, I would say probably not.
Probably
that.
don't
But
do
that's
that.
hypothetical. It's kind of out there. It's just an example.
She pulls like the tried and true technique of anything. If you ever want someone to keep talking, just don't say anything.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's
like
true.
a detective thing,
That's
and
true.
she does that. She just goes,
Yeah,
Like,
keep talking.
yeah.
Continue.
How is it that in this story, and like she just the fact that it's like, oh, it's just classic conundrum. I mean, it was,
Your husband's done that, right?
you know, everybody. This happens to everybody, right? Everybody's had their arm
It's just one of those
dislocated by
things.
their father when he was just drunk, and you know, I don't know. What and then I just imagine the camera snapping back, and the nurse just being like, like just
No. No,
What?
it doesn't.
What? And she's just already on the phone, just like, yeah. We're gonna
You got a code 237.
for the love of God. They called it 237.
While she's still not ashed her fucking cigarette the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
When she's talking to that nurse, it is like down to here, like almost to the hilt of the fucking
Amazing.
cigarette. It pisses
And
me
the
off.
continuity of it, though, for them to be able to do
It's
that
true.
is that's
Correct.
Kubrick, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
weird was it to see someone smoking in their house?
It's always strange to
It's
me to see
so
it.
weird to me.
It's always strange to me to see it.
42 years later, like that was completely normal.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It's just weird, man.
Yeah. So they finally, the whole family gets back up, and like there were two things I laughed at. One, when they show him to his apartment, he was clearly like not. She was not Shelley. Wendy's
Wendy.
overly nice about everything.
Yeah.
Oh, this is most beautiful place I've ever seen in the world. But Jack isn't. Even in Jack's trying to make kind remarks, he goes, "It's cozy."
Cozy.
Yeah.
Which cozy, like in realtor speak, is like, this is a small fucking place, and I'm trying to think of a nice word to say about it. He's clearly not happy about he doesn't feel like he's happy about the amenities at all. He's
pushing
not
on the
excited.
bed.
Yeah. Oh, this would be a nice place. It's
good room
cozy.
for a kid, like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't
kind
know how
of
to have
remark.
conversations.
Yeah.
And then they take him to the bar, and they're like, "We remove all the booze on the premises." I'm like, "I'm the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
That was not in our contract.
So can I buy some?
Well, he's like, unless you brought some with. I'm like, is that allowed? Can we go out real quick?
I gotta make a run.
We gotta go. We can do this a little later, right?
I got to call up my friends at Cedar Ridge real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah, that's right.
Jesus, man.
Did you guys notice when Jack is sitting in the lobby and Ullman comes up to talk to him and like go show him around what he's reading?
It's insane.
It's a Playgirl.
What?
Playgirl magazine.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of theories surrounding this whole thing, which we can get to later as details kind of arise. But it is a very, very peculiar thing that's what spawns all of these theories, is that Kubrick was such a perfectionist on everything.
Yeah.
Is that why is there even any mess ups? Why did he not catch a Playgirl? Why is there a Playgirl?
They say that if it's in the shot in a Stanley Kubrick movie, it is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and he doesn't draw attention to it to be like, in a modern day movie, it would zoom in on like, oh my God,
This
is he
is
reading
important.
Even for a
Can you believe
snippet.
that? No.
Yeah.
And it's not like he brought it. It was just sitting in the lobby.
Correct. Yeah.
So weird.
Very strange.
But then, so that gets me to I think one of the craziest theories I heard about this movie. There's so many thoughts on what this movie's about. And I don't think there's a right answer.
No,
I don't even know what it's
There's
about.
no wrong answer either.
Or why is it happening? The one that brought this up for me, the people think it's a mind control thing, like an experiment from the CIA. That they are purposely bringing Jack and his family up here to like subject him to weird things, maybe even weird drugs in the food, isolation, to then see how he reacts to it and see what happens. There's a lot of continuity errors and like geographical oddities in this. They're thinking maybe that's because of the hallucinations that are going on in this, like this government-run science experience. According to the theory, Jack's employment is just a front so they can test out that mind control stuff. In the game room, there's a poster of a skier behind Danny.
Yeah.
And it says Monarch, which they made it a point to say there's no skiing in the area.
Yeah.
So, like, why would there be a skiing poster on the wall? And apparently Monarch was the name of a real-world CIA project that attempted to discover secrets of mind control.
Oh, my God.
Why would that be there? And what is the connection of that? And then you've got creepy-ass motherfucking Bill Watson.
Yeah.
So Bill Watson's the second guy that shows up, that he's in the meeting.
When he's interviewing him, he's just like,
dude,
just like, what the fuck is your problem, Bill?
and they don't even
You eyeball me, son?
They don't even ever give him a title. He doesn't ask any questions.
Right.
The theory is that he's like the brains of the operation, and he's just here to be like, okay, we're going to get this experiment going, like super high-ranking government official. The crazy thing is like he's just sitting there observing, like you said. He's always following behind them when they're walking around the hotel, and he looks super annoyed when Ullman's like, hey, grab their luggage. He's like, I don't. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm supposed to work at a hotel.
That's right.
I work at a hotel.
A stern fine.
Dude, it's weird. And then you've got the Native American overtones,
Yeah.
which fits in very nicely with the U.S. government, because there is some bullshit that happened back in the day that like, we're America, General Custer is a war hero.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
We committed genocide when we came to this country, and there's so much red, white, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's wearing like American stuff.
Ullman looks like JFK, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got an American flag on his desk.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things that are pointing towards the bad things that the U.S. government can do without any of us knowing.
Okay.
And that's the and he talks about white man's burden later on. That's like a quote from a song or a book. A poem
Yeah.
where it's talking about how it's white man's burden to go erase the Indians from our land. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah, there's some crazy undertones of that going on in this movie.
Definitely, for sure. Like, especially Ullman saying, he's like, it was built on an Indian burial ground. We had to actually repel a few as they were building it. It's not an accident, It's,
No.
Obviously they can hint that towards ghosts, but they can also hint that towards what you can maybe read into this movie, which is really interesting. And there's so much more to get to with fucking theories.
So much.
What do you guys like when you first saw the twins on screen? Like, what's your reaction? Like, maybe like this time watching it compared to like the first time ever, like when you saw that.
Seeing the twins, I think it wasn't obviously as jarring because I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, again, I'm gonna go back to a lot of like the music and the underlying tones that are kind of played and like in tandem with these shots, right? Like, that's what makes it creepy. The way that they walk around, the one walks around the other is very strange.
And they turn their heads to look at each other.
Yeah, like that's the weird shit. And it is. It's very. And this is all Kubrick. That he lines these shots up in such a manner.
It's so beautiful.
It's insane.
I think the reason they're so creepy, and like they talked about while writing, they're like, do we like how do we show the ghosts? And he's like, I think we should just show them. Like, I think we just show them as like regular people because it's uncanny. The way he shoots the little girls, like right the first shot. I know he zooms in later on them.
Yeah,
but it's from far away. And it's jarring to be like, why the fuck are they there?
Yeah.
And why do they look like they're wearing like really old clothes, And then it's not like a shock. It's like there's more questions, which makes it way more fucking creepy. Seeing from something from afar, you're just like, I can't quite make it out,
It's another thing too that like you'll notice like when it's like he's deliberately trying not to get a jump scare because he leads in with music first, and then you see what you're supposed to see.
Mm-hmm. You know something's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like when I know it's maybe a little bit further in, but it's the first time that Danny rounds the corner to see them.
Yeah,
but before he rounds the corner, the music's cued in.
It is,
and
it almost felt like an accident.
Correct.
But there's no way.
There's no way it was. We don't believe that now because of the way he does things.
Yeah.
And so it deliberately gives the jump scare away and takes you and then shows it to you. And there's something more unsettling about that.
Definitely.
So yeah, like again, but it also gets people like me in the door who doesn't want the jump scare. But I'm just like, oh God, there it is. Oh God, there it is.
I'm much more interested in the uncanny creepiness of like horror stories like this. I think that's why I like it so much. Is just because like you can. The crutch of a jump scare gets annoying after a while,
Yeah.
And where you see something, you're like, did I see that? Did you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, did we just see that? That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's a question. You can talk about it. I don't know.
Absolutely.
What before we move on to scene 2, what did you guys think about Dick Halloran?
Love Dick Halloran.
Scatman, dude.
Scatman Crothers, man. He is.
We got
I love him.
apricots, dried pears, dried tomatoes, dried
Prunes.
We can get you anything. We got 10 racks of lamb. You like lamb, Doc?
You like lamb, Doc? Man, the way I
What's
love
your favorite food? French fries and ketchup. I think we can handle that too.
Oh man,
He's so nice.
he's
so
the nicest man on earth, apparently. And I will tell you again, it's just a very creepy shot, even though it's not. Even though it's not. It's the music and the way that camera, that Kubrick zoom. And he turns his head as he's still having the conversation, and he has the whole conversation while he's talking to these other people, and then you hear his thoughts. And I'm just like, this is the kind of stuff, like even when I was a kid, like especially when I was a kid, I didn't pick these kinds of things up.
No.
I didn't put things together.
No.
And that was a really interesting thing to me this time around. Yeah, putting it all together.
I really like their conversation when he gives him ice cream and everything like that. And this is kind of, to me, I'll bring this up now. I think Danny Lloyd it's the best child performance
Unbelievable.
I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah,
It's kind of disappointing that he didn't do much.
Did
after
like
this.
one thing after this, and that's it. He just called it quits. It's incredible the way that, like, I noticed more things about his performance as I watched the movie more and more. And I like how he's like, "You're scared of room 237, ain't you?" I like the delivery of that.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so perfect to me. And he's like, I like how Scatman.
Scatman, dude.
Scatman.
I like how Scatman. What's his fucking
Dick
Halloran.
Halloran.
Dick
You don't
Halloran.
remember a name of somebody?
Come
in this
on,
movie?
man. Come on.
Halloran?
I like how he's just like, no, I ain't scared of room 237.
Why should I be?
Yeah, and then
Are you scared?
Are you?
he brings up 237. He's like, "Who told you about room 237?"
Yeah.
You know, and then he brings up Dan or his
Yeah.
imaginary friend or whatever.
Right,
but
right.
Tony.
Tony.
There's some fucked up imagery that you never see until you really dive into this movie. People have studied this movie.
Yeah.
Like when they're sitting there talking, there are knives perfectly placed above Danny's head, pointing into his skull. Like the cook knives behind him are perfectly placed in the scene to where they are on his head, pointing right at him when they're having those conversations. I like that. Those are unbelievable. Where you don't have to draw attention to it, and then when you see it, you feel like you found a treasure. Oh my god, I can't believe that! It's amazing.
I always that's why I feel like this is a more rewatchable movie for me than it's ever been, because I now know I can go back and start almost doing a treasure hunt, like you say,
completely
to understand more and to take more of the like foreshadowing out of the environment he created.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, it's cool, man.
Well, let's truck this along.
I'm ready.
So scene 2, Jack's mental health deteriorates rapidly once the family is alone in the hotel. He has writer's block, sleeps too little, and is irritable. One day, Danny has a bad experience with room 237 and appears to Wendy with bruises on his neck. Wendy accuses Jack, which causes him to storm off to the ballroom where a bartender suddenly appears and serves him a drink. I want to talk about that first shot. The isolation that he creates mentally, subconsciously with us, where he's shown the Overlook Hotel many times, and it just looks great. It's bustling with people and cars. That first shot where there's just that little yellow car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And all you hear is like loons in the background and wind rustling. Like, oh, you feel alone completely from that moment.
And does that creep you out? Does like isolation creep you guys out?
It does to a degree. Like, to a degree, it does creep me out. Yes,
knowing that I can't unisolate myself if I want to.
That's true.
That's a good point.
I love being away from people.
Yeah, there's something.
That's a good way to put it.
There's something comforting about it to me, and like, but it is also at the same time spooky too. Where I'm just like, well, there's supposed to not be anybody here, so I better not hear anything.
Yeah,
you know, like
that's a good point, because in Iowa, like you can get snowed in here. Like it's very possible to get snowed in here in Iowa, and you kind of just run through the list in your head. Do I have food? Do I have
eggs,
water,
bread,
bottled water?
dog food?
Dog food. Do I got food for the dog? Do I got
Cedar Ridge whiskey?
Do I got my Cedar Ridge whiskey? My beer? Do I have my? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of run through the list, and then you're just kind of like, oh crap, do I have enough frozen pizzas?
Oh damn!
But once you get past that checklist in your head, you're kind of like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I get snowed in. You know what? Might be good to be away for a day or two. I don't know. Like this long though. This is a long time.
Yeah.
What is it? No, October through May? Is that right?
Yeah. So it's been a month at this point.
It's a month.
And things
at this
are not
point,
going
though.
well.
Yeah. I gotta say, it's been a month, man. I feel like that's not that long.
No.
Maybe it's not. Like maybe I'm totally off on this, but it's just like, wow, you're gonna lose it this hard in a month, bro.
he was already mentally unstable.
Yeah.
It was so quick. The minute he got in that hotel, he's like, yep, here we are. I'm crazy.
When he's eating his breakfast in bed,
Yeah.
and he's just like, I love it here.
I love it.
I love it. I fell in love with the place, and he's just like,
I feel like I've been here before.
Well, yeah, and he's like, That is my. I needed more of Jack Nicholson like this.
Yeah.
I needed more of this believable guy who's kind of in love with life.
I want to feel bad
and,
for him.
Yeah, exactly. And he has this appreciation right now, you know, that's just kind of going on in his world. And I wanted more of that from him. But at the same time, like, I loved that little scene of him just enjoying the fuck out of life.
I have to mention the tricycle scene on the carpet and then on the hardwood. There was an accident. What they did.
Are you kidding me?
They just and then Kubrick was watching like the dailies in editing and stuff like that. He's like, pump that audio up. That's fucking cool. So it sounds like a heartbeat.
That is my favorite moment. Shot, crazy creepy scene of this entire. Nothing's creepy about that, but the perfectness of the.
Yeah.
It's like driving under an underpass when it's raining.
Yeah, true.
It's like it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's even heightened by the Steadicam use in this.
God.
This is like one of the first movies that the Steadicam was.
Didn't Halloween 1 use it in '79 though for that intro shot?
Yeah, it was invented by Garrett Brown, and he was actually the operator on this movie. But in Halloween, obviously, they'd use some sort of technology based on that. But Garrett Brown shot this whole movie. He shot all the Steadicam scenes. The inventor of the goddamn thing. You know?
It's absolutely gorgeous.
It's what makes this movie what it is.
I think so.
And I think it becomes a character throughout the movie, like the whole Steadicam thing. I think you could argue that the Overlook is the Steadicam. There's a fourth character in this movie, and it's the Overlook. It's always following them. It's always coming at them. You know, it's always encroaching.
Is the hotel the main character?
I would say it's definitely a character.
The Steadicam feels like a ghost to me.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just floating around, and it never feels like it always feels like it's hiding out of the way.
Correct.
Like on those sideways shots, it feels like it's just creeping, trying to hear what everybody's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so creepy.
It's incredible.
I read an interesting little bit on the Steadicam operator. What was his name again, Shaun?
Garrett Brown.
Garrett Brown. You said the inventor of the thing.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that he was supposed to only be on this for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And
everybody
this movie,
was.
Well, yeah, exactly. The movie was only supposed to be a commitment of like 6 months, maybe. This went on for like almost over a year.
Almost.
And so he was supposed to be out of there in 6 months because he also was going back to shoot Rocky 2.
Oh, yeah.
And he had to fly back and forth, I believe, from London to Philadelphia or California, one of the two, basically between the UK and the States, every Sunday.
Oh, my God.
And that's what eventually killed him.
He'd spend, basically, yes. He spent a week on one, a week on the other, and he'd fly every week, like back and forth. It was insane. So he could make both movies happen.
Are you kidding me? That's insane.
Yeah.
I like how Danny, when he goes up to room 237, and the beautiful shot of like through his like legs when he's on his trike and the 237 on the door is so cool. But I love like he looks at it and like tries to open the door and then it fucking jets away. He's like, oh no, fuck that.
We've all been there. We're like, I'm getting away and I'm going to go as fast as I can and I'm not going to look back because it feels weird.
I love his push on the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I used to do that on my big wheel.
Been there.
Come on.
I've been there on that wheel, that big wheel, and you got to get it going a little bit.
All right, we're talking props.
Okay.
Oh no.
Give me that Flyers jacket.
Oh, you fuck.
Yeah. I knew Shaun was gonna take it. I don't think that's a Philadelphia Flyers
I don't think
jacket
it is.
though.
But come on.
I want an adult. I want an XL size jacket of what little Danny's wearing. That little purple with the red stripe.
Okay. I know mine. So you.
That wasn't yours?
No.
That's the only reason I picked it. Fuck.
Okay. All right. I got mine.
Mine's actually kind of a couple things.
No, you only get one.
Okay. Well, I'm picking.
We've established these rules, and they stay the same.
I'm picking the first poster you see in Dick Halloran's little Florida apartment.
In his little fucking bachelor swinger
those
pad,
beautiful
dude.
women with huge afros. I want that poster.
Okay.
African princess up there.
Absolutely.
It's just, gorgeous. And that's well played, sir.
Actually, can we probably find a copy of that and like put it on our wall?
I think we need to find that and put it on the wall.
I think we can.
Just put some tapers on the nipples.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's fine.
Our YouTube channel's PG.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, not really, because of the language.
No, it's not. I'll be honest with you. I think mine is the tennis ball.
Cool.
Okay. Which one is it? One he's throwing, or one that rolls to Danny?
The one I think I would assume it's the same one.
Oh yeah,
because
you might be
We
right.
are.
because he throws it down the hall and never goes and retrieves it.
And you never see where the fuck it goes.
Correct.
It's weird.
I don't even know if you hear much of it, to
No.
be honest. But yeah, I was between that and the 237 tag on the key.
Yeah.
But
Ooh.
I think I want the ball. I
I've
want the
gone through
tennis
like
ball.
9 of those.
I'm gonna put it on one of those like baseball trophy holder
Yeah.
things, a little tripod thing.
from Sandlot.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
signatures and stuff on it.
I'm gonna sign Babe Ruth. Never mind.
Yeah. So hedge maids. Can we talk about hedge maids?
Whatever you want to talk about. man.
So a little thing about like all the sets and locations in this movie is that the whole thing was a set in London. The whole hotel, the whole interior was all a set, including the outside of
The hotel.
The outside of the hotel was not actually in Oregon. They took like the look of everything and just duplicated it and built them, and they put that in London and shot that.
Okay.
And including the hedge maze, which is just staggering to me because I know how much light it takes. Even in like the Colorado room or whatever, the huge like lounge, those bay windows, like recreating that daylight has to be astounding. Let alone
of the snow.
yeah. Let alone being outside technically and shooting up at Wendy and Danny. The whole sky is artificial light. You know.
Yeah.
It is fucking insane to me. And like, I will implore you to like watch the making of documentary that's on like the Blu-ray, and it's shot by Vivian Kubrick, who is Stanley Kubrick's daughter.
Oh.
It shows you a lot.
Is she hot?
I'm
sorry.
It shows you. It shows you a lot, and like it shows Stanley like giving direction to somebody. He's like, "No, bring the 35 lens. No, okay, bring the 86 or whatever." And then it's a tracking shot from behind him as he's walking, and he walks into the maze. I'm like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know, it just transports.
I couldn't imagine.
Like this movie is such like a huge deal to me, and I guess a lot of other people too. Where it's just like, how is this not like a real thing? How did they just fake all this?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's impossible, but it fucking is.
They did it.
That whole maze, and especially like when it's covered in snow, like you say, it's a set, and that it was they basically covered the thing in salt and broken down styrofoam and made it look like snow.
Yeah.
It was hot.
Yeah.
It was hot the whole
weird.
time, and that.
But
blows
they
my
make
mind.
it feel like it's absolutely freezing.
Correct. Yes.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So then, he finally. Oh, go ahead, man.
Well, just one more thing. When he's looking down at the miniature hedge maze, I always wondered how the fuck they did that shot of it, like from up above, like the POV eagle eye kind of view on down to them.
Yeah.
And apparently it's just as simple as they shot the maze and they shot down, and then they shot a little other or like a shot from above again, but with them in it. And so they just kind of just
Pieced it
superimpose. I'm like, how? I don't even.
Wow.
That doesn't even make
No.
sense to me.
Yeah.
At all.
At this point, because you have to remember, I mean, this movie's shot in the 70s, technically.
Yeah.
So I don't, and like back then, I don't think of like them having almost the capability to do this,
Right,
and not
no.
like trying to like, oh, they can't do
Idiots.
that. But it's just like, yeah, how the hell did they do this
I know.
in like this
it
real
looks
kind of way?
right.
It
It
looks
looks
it looks
fine.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
It looks,
Yeah.
it looks that's honestly incredibly creepy to me. Is that top down shot of the maze? That's really creepy to me.
Yeah.
It's something that really creeped me out.
Also, when Jack is looking outside at them, his Kubrick stare,
The Kubrick stare.
you know, it looks like somebody who has been told the same story 15 times, listening to that same story the 16th time.
Because you always hang out with like the same friend,
Yeah.
and like you've heard the same
Oh,
friend,
I
or
gotta
like
tell you a story.
or
So
your
this one
significant
time-
other who's telling the same. Like
yeah.
you're just like, I imagine. I just want one. If I could ask for one thing, Mr. Stanley, if you could just like superimpose or just like put over the top just one long sigh with. That would be the greatest thing ever, because but again, we have Mr. Nicholson's face.
Yeah.
That just fucking creeps me out. It's like a clown without paint. It creeps me out.
So he's he's a failed writer. He has no ideas.
Yeah.
He sucks at writing.
Right.
naturally, he's just walking around throwing tennis balls.
Doing nothing.
And he walks into the gold room.
Yeah.
And sure as shit, he looks down, and then he looks up. He looks into the camera.
Are we there already?
He's at the bar.
He's at the bar.
He's there. He walks into the bar, for the empty ballroom for the first time, and then he looks into the mirror, looks down, looks back up into the camera, which is now essentially the mirror.
Yep.
Because anytime Jack's talking to ghosts, it's like
It's in a mirror.
there's mirrors and stuff. Mirrors play a huge part in this movie.
Yes, I know. I was gonna ask about that for you guys because I didn't take. I looked into it a little bit, but I wanted to ask you guys about the mirrors whenever we get a chance.
Yeah, the mirrors are crazy, right? I mean, like
it's a weird thing. It's definitely like we've been saying. It's got to be deliberate for some reason. You know, if it's Kubrick, and maybe it's not, maybe it is. I don't know. But it could just be like a reflection of him. Like maybe it's just kind of his projections. You know, maybe it's like shining back at him, or it's like look at yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
But before this, so Danny is kind of attacked by somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody in the hotel and everything.
something
like
happens.
After he finds his way to 237.
That. Yeah.
Room
And
237.
Wendy has a dream that, or when Wendy goes up to Jack when he's having a dream that he killed all of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And then kind of blames him for doing this because he's got, a history of it. And so
Boy, she just can't fucking let it go, can she? She just can't let it go. Leave it to the... Never mind.
Jack got pretty lucky having a full bar and bartender just appear out of nowhere. But not that lucky.
Oh.
Because he didn't order Cedar Ridge whiskey. And I'm here to say that if he had, he wouldn't have gone so crazy. That's why Cedar Ridge whiskey is my bourbon of choice. And it's not only because they were named Distillery of the Year in 2017. It's because it's the smoothest, most tasty whiskey I've ever had. Whether it's the Iowa Straight Bourbon or the quintessential American Single Malt, the Straight Rye, which is aged in a minimum of 3 years barrels, or the Slipknot No. 9 combo with Straight Rye and Straight Bourbon. Also, a little fact, Slipknot did their Spit It Out video kind of based on The Shining. They had Corey Taylor around on a trike and everything like that. Kind of fun. Little thing there, So do the right thing and support our sponsor who supports us, and go to cedarridgewhiskey.com to order a bottle for yourself, which they will ship right to your door for your convenience and pleasure. Don't kill your family. Get Cedar Ridge.
No, listen, Jack.
What a great tagline for you.
Jack sits down and he does the right thing. He says, "Give me a bourbon."
Yeah.
Which, of course, the state of Iowa has chosen 2 years in a row now over every other bourbon.
Makes sense.
Cedar Ridge. However, he gives them Jack Daniels isn't even a bourbon.
Come on.
What the hell's going on? Nobody wants Jack Daniels.
What's the number 7 mean anyway?
Yeah. 2, 3, 7.
Oh!
I don't know.
That's a fan there. Cheers, man. I'm drinking my Cedar Ridge, buddy.
Get in there.
Hey.
But this is one of the best scenes. I think maybe my favorite scene in the movie where he
The bartender conversation.
just imagine like watching this movie for the first time when it came out back in the day. Imagine being in the theater when the first fourth wall break in this movie, and it's Jack fucking Nicholson doing it, smiling right at you in the camera. Imagine being an audience member being like looking to the people next to me, like, is he looking at you? He's looking at
not looking at me.
He's looking at me.
It's like looking at the Mona Lisa. Is he following me? or-
Exactly. It's so intimidating. And then you're like, what the fuck? Oh, hey, Lloyd. Who's Lloyd? And then voila. It's so fucking brilliant to just bring that in like that. And I just somebody else talk.
I got 2 20s and 2 10s. He's like, and
Your money's no good here.
Yeah. He's just that whole point to me when he goes in and asks for that first one. Yeah, and then he's like, I'm a little. What's my credit like in here, Lloyd?
Fine.
Well, things are starting to be diluted here, and you're not really knowing what's real, and time is becoming an issue. Like, first of all, he knows the bartender's name.
Yeah.
And then they start having those conversations, of course, and they clearly know each other. And then he, like he said earlier in the movie, they said he was 5 months off of booze, and he even says it in the scene. He says 5 months off the or on the wagon or whatever,
and all the shit it caused.
But yet
he says.
they had been there an extra month.
Yeah.
So it should be 6 months, but yet he's still thinking of it as 5 months.
Right. So it's like
because
time
that's what
stopped
Wendy
for
said.
him.
It was 5 months earlier,
Right.
And yeah, like time stopped. Yeah,
Time stopped
or
for
who
him in
knows
this
what the
moment.
hell's going on at that
Yeah.
point. And he also calls his wife a sperm bank.
It's
Jeez.
crazy. So
I didn't even catch that, to be honest.
What the fuck?
I didn't have the subtitles turned on like while I was.
Did he say sperm bank?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The,
Jeez.
the misogyny in this movie is unreal, and it just adds to like what this movie is really about for me. I guess is just like abuse in a family.
Yeah, 100%.
And the perpetrator being obviously Jack.
Yeah.
And you could make allegories of like the ghosts or projections of like Danny, or just to like kind of make him safer a little bit, or like, and that's why he has Tony with him, all the time.
Well, what do you think about there's implications that Jack has been sexually abusing Danny. And there's weird weird, I don't like that, but there's clear like links. I mean, clearly he's hurt him. He's hurt him before.
He's hurt him at one point or another. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also this kind of like there's this undertone of misconception, and this is also what I got out of kind of like Roger Ebert's. It's about his review, and it's the perception of whose story do you believe, because there's 3 stories technically going on, 4 if you count the Overlook Hotel itself, right? And because at one point, when I believe it was Wendy who, when talking to the nurse, said how he had Danny had spread his school papers around on the floor or whatnot, and then later on it turns out that Jack says to Lloyd, it was my work papers that he spread on the floor. And so people, all the parties have these different recollection of how things happen. And the one thing that is the constant, though, is the fact that he did hurt Danny.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that stays the same.
That's the only constant necessarily.
And the doctor implied that Tony came around during trauma, which could have been some sexual abuse. There's sex imagery everywhere in this.
It's true.
Like the play. In fact, the Playgirl magazine. We talked about why would he even read this? Why would it be there?
There's a specific issue, right?
Dude, there's a specific issue where there's an article that says incest, why parents sleep with their children.
Oh my God.
In that exact magazine article, there's like the creepy dog man, the boiler room has photos of naked women everywhere on it when Wendy's in there one time, and there's like naked women all over the walls.
Oh, man.
There's also, isn't it a bear guy?
Or whatever.
It's a bear,
dog man,
dog,
bear guy.
It's a bear, I believe. And when Danny's being seen by the nurse, he's laying on a bear.
He is.
Kind of comforting. Like he goes to that whenever maybe Jack abuses him or something like that. It's really fucked up and hard to talk about, obviously, but it is a theory.
Jack's clearly a piece of shit. I can't put this past him. Even the subtleties of when they're being shown through the hotel by Ullman, and they walk into their apartment, and these 2 teenage girls go, "Bye, see you next. Bye, Mr. Ullman." He like longingly looks at them for a long time as he turns the corner. There's just subtle overtones of that, and it's pretty creepy.
This place is like a summer camp, almost like of just weirdness.
Yeah,
that's basically all I can stack it up to. Is just a summer camp of weirdness in Colorado.
It really is, man.
Good Lord.
So let's move this on. So scene 3, Wendy enters, finding Jack seemingly alone at the bar. She pleads with him to investigate Danny's claim that a crazy woman attacked him in the bathtub of room 237. Jack agrees to go have a look. He finds the door open and a young naked woman in the tub. They kiss, and Jack soon realizes that the woman is actually an old rotting corpse. He staggers out of the room but reports to Wendy that he did not find anything.
Jack, there's a crazy woman in the bathroom. She tried to strangle Danny. Are you out of your fucking mind?
I'm assuming if you have a kid and your wife says that someone tried to do something to your kid, you're going to react like, what the fuck? We gotta go figure this out.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think this is one of the it's obviously one of the weirdest scenes that comes around. And you're right. Like, why is that his initial reaction? And you kind of think, like, to be honest, I'm kind of wondering why his first reaction wasn't like, "Oh, so it's not me anymore, huh, bitch?"
Yeah,
it like
that's very true.
Where he's just like, "You were blaming me earlier, and now you're coming back and you're saying it's not me, or it's this lady, somebody who's been living here apparently the whole time. Now who's going crazy?" And then you kind of realize she's strictly going off of just Danny's story.
Of course.
You know, she's just going off Danny's
She
story.
believes Danny more than Jack.
Correct. Well, yeah, and she has this in her mind, and she needs Jack to go investigate. And the not to skip over the whole 237 incident, I guess, but at the same time, is he just covering up for himself by just saying, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on.
Shaun will probably have theories on this. You could in theory say that this bathtub scene never happened.
Yeah.
That this was not a thing, and that Jack met Danny in that room the first time Danny was in there, and he did bad things to Danny and gave him the bruises on his neck.
Oh God.
And that this is all just imaginary, and that truthfully that was what happened in there, and Jack went up. That's why he didn't want to go up there. That's why he denies. Because wouldn't the first thing you would tell somebody is like, holy shit, like a really hot naked woman tried to make out with me, and then it turned out to be a witch corpse. Like it was fucked up.
You're saying this is the first thing you'd say to people?
Well, that's the first thing I was saying.
Dude, you got like sativa going on there? Dude, give me
Colorado,
give
bro.
me some of that, dude.
I'll have what he's having.
well, and dude, even did you notice that? We're going back a little bit, but when Danny was sitting on the carpet and that ball rolls up, he's
Yeah.
playing with his cars.
So,
Oh God.
are we talking about this theory?
I don't know.
Okay.
Somebody's fucking talking about
I'm
it.
gonna
and
say,
somebody needs
I'm
to
gonna
keep
tell you what I was
talking
gonna say,
about
and then maybe this is what you want to say. When the ball rolls up, and then Danny like reacts to it, the carpet pattern's different.
Oh, okay.
The carpet pattern is completely different
Jesus fuck.
from where he was sitting.
I can't do this, guys.
No.
I'm just saying, like,
it's saying
I'm-
that none of this like is happening. None of this happened. I don't know.
I'm just
I wanna
saying,
know where
I
Shaun
can't
goes with
fucking
this.
keep up on this movie.
So I'll go through it kind of quick as I fucking can. There's a movie called Room 237, which is just a documentary of
I need to see that.
people's theories about this movie, and it's just kind of about how we watch movies. And I have a whole like thing I want to say later about this movie, but there's a theory because Danny is wearing an Apollo 11 sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm sorry. I have to interject for 8 seconds because he's wearing an Apollo 11 sweatshirt. He's wearing a Flyers jacket. It seems like Danny is all about this like flight or something. Now that's the only thought I had.
It's
Please
it's a
continue.
little different.
Dude, he's got some fucking swag. That's
He's
what
got-
he's got.
he does
He's
have
got
some
some
fucking
phallic
swag.
shit on his thing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Please.
Just cool fucking style. So he's got an Apollo 11 thing on his sweatshirt, and the carpet pattern kind of looks like a launching pad. So when the ball goes to him, he launches up, he stands up, and he travels to room 237, which is approximately, it's not, but what they say it's approximately 200,037 miles away from the moon is 237,000 miles away from the Earth.
Yes.
And this is Stanley Kubrick's confession on faking the moon landing.
Or it's his like fuck you to everybody that think people thought that Stanley Kubrick was the one that filmed the moon landing.
Yeah.
That it wasn't real.
Oh my God.
Because he invented a lot of technology for 2001.
Yeah, of course.
And NASA did use it. That's a fact. And they used some lenses from him too. But it's just like
It's either his
fun.
confession or it's
Yeah.
him just being like, come on,
and
really?
it's fun to think about for sure. And like all this evidence that gets brought up, you're just like, oh shit, you know. But and like in the pantry, there's Tang, which astronauts drank
so
up
much.
up in space. It's just like it's whatever, but it's fun.
But you can't. The problem is most people can just deny these things, just be
Yeah.
like whatever. But when it's Kubrick, everything has a reason for being there.
Everything has a reason.
And that's where these theories really gain legs because
Yeah.
you're like, well, why did he do that? Why did he make him wear an Apollo 11 shirt?
Exactly. Like, why does it say Flyers on the back of that jacket? Even though you're like you said, maybe it's not even a Philadelphia Flyers thing. Like,
What does Jack end up typing on his paper?
All work and no play makes Jack a dull
All
boy.
A11 Apollo 11.
Yeah.
Like weird shit, right?
oh God.
Going back to the room 237 scene, this is
Yeah.
the creepiest fucking thing
good Lord.
that would ever happen to me probably, because in this you see him opening up the door and then it's supposed to be an empty fucking room, but there's someone behind that curtain.
Yeah, I'd already bailed.
That's what's fucking creepy, man. Like what? Like holy shit! And then a hand slowly takes the curtain back and is looking at him.
I'm gonna take it. I just at least want to know who it is.
No, you don't. You want to see boobs and then you want to leave.
It's just like, hey,
hold on.
Wait, who is that?
I gotta go.
He's like, hey, did you strangle my son?
Hey,
Oh, you're pretty nude. I'll come back. I'll come back a little later.
you got it.
Sweet tits. Yeah, but he's been drinking. So think about like he's been hammered.
Tits.
Be like, bro, you must love me. Hey, what does your tattoo mean?
What's your ink?
What's your ink?
Did
Did it hurt?
it's carpet match drapes?
Yeah.
Apparently it does.
So hey, guys,
I hate this.
you guys know the Goosebumps book where like the hand is coming out from
The basement.
What's
Stay
that
out
one?
of the basement.
She
Stay out
had
of the basement.
goosebumps. Oh, go ahead.
She's the creature that's in the basement.
She is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a fact.
Dude, the cackling old lady too, my God. That scene goes on forever and that music just stays the same. And it's just like you want as a viewer to get the fuck out of the scene and you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You just cannot.
His kind of like scream, it's kind of like a holler. You know what I mean? Like that, it's just kind of this weird, and it somehow is worse than if he was just like actually screaming. You know what I mean? That's very strange.
Did you know that Do Not Disturb has the following amount of letters? Do, 2, not 3, disturb 7. Don't go in that fucking room. However, Shaun can attest to this. In the book, it was 217.
217. So what they did, because the rumor is that Stanley Kubrick did it as a fuck you to Stephen King.
Yes.
And changed it to 237. Or if you go to the fact that it's,
I like this one better.
If you go to the fact that it's the actual Timberline Hotel asked him to change it so people would stay in room 217.
Now, see,
Gotcha.
I get that from the 80s, right? They didn't want people to not stay in this room because of the movie. However, times have changed. I stayed on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, California, with the band the Pork Tornadoes did when we played a show out there.
Okay.
And there's a famous fucking room that is like guaranteed going to make you shit yourself because bad, scary things are going to happen there. It's haunted as hell. They charge like $2,000 a night to stay in that room, and it is booked. It is booked year round.
Oh my!
So
God.
like, had they had the foresight on this, had it really been room 217, they'd be sitting on a gold mine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess they already are kind of, but like that's what's weird to me is that back then they're like, no, don't, please. We can't. People will never stay here. And now we're like, oh my God, I want to stay in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think now it's like inundated with that. And I think it's kind of the same thing with the Queen Mary. Where it's
Same
just like
thing.
it's booked like no
Solid.
other. You know,
My room costs like $40, and I slept on an incline because the boat goes like this. But that room's $2,000. Cool.
God damn it.
So he goes and tells Wendy that he couldn't find anything or whatever. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, I don't know what we're gonna do, and kind of tells him and pisses Jack off.
Yeah.
He's like, it's so fucking typical of you. Moment I get a chance or whatever, like something like that. And then when he leaves, it does a fourth wall break.
Yes.
Which is my fucking favorite all-time thing in the entire world. As he's leaving, he looks in the camera like disdain and looks out the corner of his eye.
It's like a millisecond.
A little tiny second, and it fucking gives me chills every time. I don't know why I love it so much.
And there's no way that Stanley Kubrick lets that take stay. He does 5 million takes I've ever seen. He does not let that stay if Jack accidentally looks at the camera.
Yeah,
that was
he
an
stings
on-purpose thing.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, let's move this party on, okay?
Please.
Let's come on. We're almost done, AJ.
Come on.
So scene 4, Dick Halloran back at his home in Florida stares wide-eyed as he picks up on a signal Danny is sending. He decided to travel to the hotel to check on them. Jack loses his temper with Wendy and goes back to the Gold Ballroom, which is now a lively party of people dressed in 1920s fashion. A butler spills a drink on Jack, and while cleaning him up in the bathroom, Jack identifies him as Delbert Grady, and they share an intense conversation.
Midnight, the Stars and You by Al Bowley.
Is that the song?
That's the song. Might be the most creepiest song in the
But
entire
why?
world.
It's not supposed to be.
I don't know. I don't think I've heard it without like reverb on it. And so I think what's creepy about it is that it sounds like it's coming from a different room every time you hear it. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like it's coming from a ballroom that shouldn't have people in it or music playing in it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's to me, like if a song started up and you were supposed to be alone and you didn't start the song and that was the song,
like I'd rather hear like Cowboys from Hell by
exactly.
Tim Pantera or something like that. Like, okay, cool. We should go check that out. If that song's
you
playing,
automatically start going like this.
but you're right. If
fun.
that song is playing, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if I'm at a formal party and everybody's dressed to the nines, and we're having the best night, we're doing a little fundraiser, we're raising money for charity, and a guy dressed like Jack walks in street clothes and starts Joker dancing around with his drink, I'm the fuck out of that party. I'm like, this is not going to be good.
There's something in his jacket that I don't want to see.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I'm not about that life. I will go back eventually to Scatman in his bed and everything. But since we're on the note here of his revisit to the bar and the party happening and everything, and him walking up, hair of the dog that bit me, Lloyd, and he tries to pay this time around with the money that now appears
He now
in his
has
wallet.
money.
And so he's having this conversation again with Lloyd, and runs into the butler with avocado, and he's getting cleaned up, and then he follows him into the bathroom and has this conversation, and he like drags this out of the ghost, if you will, so what I heard, this is me coming back around to just something that I heard, is that every single time that he's talking to a ghost or creating a thought process, it's in a mirror.
Oh yeah, that's what we were saying.
And it's like this projection, right? That you were talking about.
The old lady, he sees her.
In the mirror. In the bathroom with Grady, the bartender. He's in the mirror. He's always talking to himself to a degree, and he's also finding ways to like you said, like he's stinging the camera for that time, and then he's looking directly back into himself and looking for himself too. And that's like with Grady, right? He's like looking back. He's trying to find like eyesight or something to continue this conversation. And it's incredibly creepy the whole time. The other time is that when he pulls Danny in to talk to him, right?
Ugh.
And but there's a mirror in the shot.
There's a lot of mirrors.
There's mirrors everywhere.
The red rum that's how she
correct
sees that it says murder. It's insane.
It's horrifying.
There's no. He even said, somebody even pointed out, I'm guessing this is from room 237, that the shape of that mirror in their bedroom was the same shape of the bathroom where the naked ladies were in the tub. The top of that weird little accent above the tub looked exactly like the mirror did.
Man.
These are not accidents.
Yeah.
And you're fucking confusing me. Tell me what's going on.
It's all this projection stuff that's happening. And the one that threw me off is when he is talking to Danny, though. Because now I'm thinking like we're seeing him, the back of his head, I think, in the mirror. It's one thing that throws off this, like, and it makes it more unsettling. Like you think you got a piece of something, and then this is what happens, and you're questioning your own thoughts.
If I opened a bar or restaurant, that's what my bathroom's gonna look like.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That is, some of the colors in this hotel.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
If it wasn't really nice. Creepy, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
If you weren't talking to a ghost, it'd be dope.
Fuck yeah, I want that room.
Actually, that'd be cool talking to a ghost in there too.
And let's be real. I mean, come on. Man.
What do you think that was one of the most unbelievable dialogue scenes of the movie?
Yeah,
that's incredible.
It's really good. Like the way Grady staring at him. Grady is really menacing looking.
I don't like Grady at all.
But he's also not. But I guess for the times he's not, you're not close up on him, are you? Like he's not close up. You don't get like the full feature.
Once you get him
effect.
out of the room, into the bathroom, that's when he's menacing.
Right. He's still got his butler voice going. Like when he's far away, but then like he starts having this conversation with him like close up.
Corrected them, sir.
When he starts dropping N-bombs, that's when you know. That's when you know he's menacing.
Oh man!
But is that's prevalent of the 1920s?
Yeah,
which is what in theory time we're in right now. I don't know. We've traveled back in time. I mean,
Grady's incident happened in 1970.
But this is Delbert.
Right.
So like it's so confusing because Delbert Grady. Charles Grady was the one that did it in the 70s.
Okay.
But this guy's name is Delbert. Like he starts going, "You're Delbert Grady," when that was never a name we were told.
That's right.
Right.
It's just making you feel insane because you're sitting there going, "Was it Delbert Grady?"
So it's this idea that like a caretaker or something has had this incident. Then I don't know.
Every caretaker is the same person, but they're not. It's like, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's such a good
It's
thing.
hurting my brain.
The coolest theory, like I try to think about. I want to know why is this movie a thing? Like, what is it about? And I think one of the cooler theories was that the hotel is hell. And you've probably heard this one, that Jack is in hell. The layout, how that shifts all the time. The one scene that fucks me up is in the very beginning when he walks into Ullman's office.
Yeah.
He like walks into the lobby and takes a right, and then he's in the interior of the building, but there's a window.
It's an impossible window.
It's an impossible window where there should not be a window there with light coming through it, but there is. And you get the theory while they're walking through while he's riding his trike through the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, why? He can't take 4 rights and be in a different place. What is going on? It feels like everything is shifting. There's a chair in the background when he's talking to Wendy one time that is there, and then it's not.
What most would call a continuity error.
But not in this fucking movie.
Right. You
not
can't
with Stanley
say that.
Kubrick.
You can't say that.
Danny almost teleports at one point. On his 3rd time on the big wheel, he's in the kitchen, and he turns a corner, and now he's in the hotel. He's like on the 3rd floor staff wing.
And then he sees the twins.
And that's when he sees the twins.
Yeah.
So there's thoughts that maybe Jack died a long time ago, Overlook is hell, where he must continuously like repeat the last winter of his life forever. His dream of killing his wife and kids is just an echo of him really killing his wife and kids. It's I mean, no one seems to know what's going on. Like it's weird, and he technically says I'd sell my soul for a drink,
and that's when it all kind of starts.
That's when weird things start happening, man.
It's a cool thing, and you could also just be like, well, this is Kubrick's horror movie, and I know like he doesn't half-ass anything, but this is his money grab. Like this is the end of his career, right? He's got Full Metal Jacket after this, and I think Eyes Wide Shut.
Damn. Okay.
Well, I know he has Eyes Wide Shut, but I think those are the 2 left.
Okay.
But you could say where it's just like continuity errors, like when a chair and table like completely disappear, but they are there in the next scene. That's just like so staggering. Where I've never noticed it before, to be honest, until like these rewatches. But it is like very like, oh shit, that's really gone, But it could like because it was just a whole giant set. It could just be like, it doesn't really matter the like the layout of anything, and it could just be deliberate, where it's just like it's a maze. There is a literal maze outside, and the hotel is a maze in and of itself. There's so many ways.
Is it like Fight Club, where you didn't think you saw it, but you did?
You did.
A big giant cock. like because you don't know if you saw that chair there or not.
Yeah.
You have no clue. You're like, I think I. Was
there
a chair there?
Think about not being able to rewind this.
Totally.
I mean, think about that. That you're in a theater,
God.
that you're in a place that you can't rewind this. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And that's the thing. That's what also brings up the thought process that it's not just Jack that's losing his mind; it's the whole family. Mm-hmm. Because if she has to be seeing this too, to a degree, because we're not talking about Jack is not the one in conversation. He's not the one of focus, right? Yeah. She's the one focusing on Jack. So you have to think, and Kubrick at one point it seemed like he just made a lot of different interviews just seem very autonomous for what he thought or what he wanted people to think about the movie. And in one, he just said it's not a horror movie. It's just a quaint movie of a man and his family slowly losing their mind. Okay.
Okay.
So
thank you.
there's no actual horror to this song. There's no.
You don't think that's
fantastic.
horrifying, Stanley?
You don't think that this is fantastic in any result? There's not ghosts. There's not like The Shining. It's just they're just losing their minds. That's what you're saying. And then in another one, he's talking about the idea of ghosts and that there is something of an afterlife. And now he's going back on the other side of it. Flipping the coin essentially that this is a ghost story. So he's playing this even through the media. It sounds like.
I think he definitely, his movies are crafted in a specific sort of way that are in and of itself they're supposed to be that, but you get all of these theories. Now, I have a whole kind of breakdown when we get to the end of this of that, where I think it's supposed to be ambiguous, and I think it's supposed to make you think. I'll get to it later.
Of course, yeah.
All right, well, let's finish it. So final scene, Jack tries to attack Wendy, who wants to leave the hotel, but she's able to knock him down the stairs. She drags his body into the pantry and locks the door. Jack is eventually let out by Delbert Grady and goes to finish the job on his family. He takes an axe to the door of the hotel room with Wendy and Danny inside. Wendy is able to push Danny out the window, but she is trapped inside. Just then, Dick Halloran arrives in a snowcat and enters the hotel. He's ambushed and killed by Jack. Wendy escapes the bathroom and encounters the fully alive and scary hotel. Jack follows Danny into the maze but is outsmarted by the kid. Wendy makes her way out of the hotel just as Danny emerges the maze. They escape using the snowcat while Jack freezes to death in the maze.
As soon as Danny says, "Danny's not here, Mrs. Torrance," in that voice,
no.
I'm getting rid of the kid.
No, yep.
Getting a whole brand new one.
You just you throw that out the window, kind of like you did, but then you just close the window.
And then you go, Jack, we did it.
We're good now. Hey,
you're right. Let's
go see what that woman's doing.
You're right. He was really fucking weird. Let's not deal with him anymore.
I found a bear like costume, and we can fuck around.
Mess around with that?
Want role play?
role play. Let's roll around in the bear skins.
Holy shit,
dude! And speaking of which, like when he's just screaming red rum,
dude,
red rum,
like 100 times,
100 times. And like that, and then he's just kind of basically having an episode, like drooling out. And you're just like, there's so many like scenes with Danny, and again coming back to I think one of the just an amazing performance by this kid.
Unbelievable.
That you're like his eyes that are wide open, the moments where he's having an episode, like he's as scary as any part of this movie.
Yeah,
that's the difference of seeing this when I was younger to now is. When I was younger, like Danny was the scariest part of the movie for me. He was like the bad guy of the movie. Like, the Tony's the bad guy.
Yeah,
then you realize it's like, no, in theory, there's a thought that like Tony is his future self.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what it is in the book.
Yeah,
is that it's his
coming back
self.
to protect him. So at that point, his future self takes over and is like, Danny, you're not here. You know nothing of what's happening here.
He kind of makes him black out.
Yeah, he makes him black out so that he'll have no recollection of what's going on. It's weird how different moments of your life you'll feel this movie differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like the scenes of Dick Halloran getting to Colorado, which I don't know how he got that flight.
Well, okay, yeah. What an amazing. I'll tell you what, I had a flight cancellation getting back most recently. Not like a couple days ago from here. It was a flight cancellation. I mean, it's just in shambles right now. I don't know. Maybe I don't know,
Things
Continental or whatever.
Then,
Things were just different back then, you know.
You could smoke on airplanes.
You could smoke on airplanes, and I'll be honest with you. I gotta say this though, guys. I'm sorry, but why didn't you just say you're like, oh hey, yeah, you couldn't get through up there? Yeah, I'm gonna need you guys to go up there right now.
All of you.
Just smoke it and take like 6 of you. Just take 6 of you because I guess I'm pretty sure.
It's gonna take me like a day.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I'm in Miami.
Hey,
you think I want to go back to
in
Colorado?
Miami,
I'm in
bitch.
my swinger pad in Miami.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have these dope posters.
I love how he just goes to Miami. Goes. So cool.
Dude's got coin, all right. But he just flips the switch. He just goes, and like I'd be like, hey, you guys with the guns, go up there. You go on up there because I think it's bad.
It's true.
I think it's bad.
That's very true. You should just be like, hey, I know that there's something weird going on down there. The kid can't just lie. Just like the kid.
The kid called me.
Yep. The kid called me. He's like, hey, my dad's going fucking crazy.
Not even that. Say, my dad had a heart attack. He's hanging on to life. They need support right away.
They need everybody
Correct.
over there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's dire situation.
The Indians got in, and they're shooting arrows.
Yeah. The bears and the lions.
Turns out a snowboarder did a backflip and broke his neck.
No, because then they'd be like, wait a second, there's no skiing up there.
Snowboarding
we better go investigate. So it's like...
There are small moments like that, like when she gets Jack into the cooler, the pantry.
Yeah, the pantry.
Go ahead.
One more thing. Another thing, kind of like about the novel and like a subtle fuck you to Stephen King, is that when Dick Halloran's on his way in the car.
Oh yeah.
Towards the hotel or towards getting the snowcat, there's that overturned truck. And there's a red buggy underneath, and in the novel, it's supposed to be a red buggy
Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle. Yeah,
the Beetles that Torrance drives.
Oh shit!
And instead, it's a yellow one. So it's said to be like a subtle fuck you to Stephen King. He's like, no, fuck your script, fuck your original story. I'm doing my thing. You know,
that's so weird to me.
I like
why do you pick a red Beetle?
Why?
I've got to say, like the whole him traversing this whole way, and then he just gets axed. Spoilers!
He literally made the worst decision of his life.
Yeah, exactly. It was the silliest thing I've maybe ever seen.
I feel real bad.
Yeah, you feel terrible because you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we got to have somebody die. And it's like, what? You're going to, like, this guy travels across the United States.
Brings the escape vehicle.
Yep.
And then just dies.
And then he just dies.
He's announcing himself, and he has no weapons.
Hello?
There? Yeah. You mean, like, there's a reason for everything, and apparently this just must be the, oh my gosh, this is a death that just should not happen, I suppose, card that you're going to play, but it was maybe the most frustrating part of the movie.
It's also could be said to have been another fuck you to Stephen King's. I believe Dick Halloran survives.
He was supposed to be like a bigger hero in the whole thing, right?
In the book, and so like,
God damn.
But it is just like shocking to see him. And I every time I watch him, like, it's this pillar. He's behind this one.
That's the one.
He's behind there. I know it's this one. And then it's like always the last one. I'm like, what? How did I forget? But it is just. It does add in that, like, you could see Jack doing this to his family now, since he's done this to a random person.
Now. Yeah,
so
he's got to kill somebody, right?
There is a threat, there is a definite threat of him not even just being crazy, of him just being a killer now,
There's a weird moment for me that didn't seem to fit in the movie, like that he gets locked into the pantry.
Yeah.
And he wants out, but then he clearly falls asleep.
Yeah.
But he, like, took the time, even though he's an insane person, he took the time to eat snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
one of my favorite
peanut
snacks.
butter jar
One of my favorite snacks.
Finally, like, coming out of his crazy, be like, I'm really hungry. Oh, peanut butter. Oh, they got goldfish. Cool.
I don't know how long I'm going to be in here.
Ooh, Oreos and peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll try the goldfish with the peanut butter. Fuck it.
Ooh, is it Rice Krispies?
So it seems like something that Kubrick would have never... Again, like, were you really trying to put everything in every scene? Because that feels weird to me.
Well, he made like a bet on like sacks of wheat or whatever it is. Like,
to be honest, man, anytime someone asks me like, "Hey, do you want a house sit?" and they're like, "Fucking fridge is full in stocks. You can take whatever you want." I'm like, "That's a fucking challenge."
Yeah.
Like if I was caretaking a hotel and like eat whatever, I'm like, we're eating in everything.
Good Lord.
We're eating and drinking literally everything we can.
Yeah,
thank you.
Like that's I would love that because you're just like she's opening up like family sized cans of fruit cocktail.
Yeah.
You mean you're gonna like do up an entire like pork roast and like steaks and all this?
Yep.
Stuff?
You got 44 of them.
44.
44.
There you go.
At least he's creative with one sentence.
Is he?
Yeah, his pages, the way it's laid out, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. At least he's got like
there is some cool designs.
Different designs and stuff like that. And well, it's a fact actually that Kubrick made his secretary write literally, I think, like 200 pages of that.
She's still living that down. If she's,
I don't know if she's still living.
I was gonna say if she's still living,
it killed her.
Like that is how terrified would you guys be at that point though if you found that like and you like. All right, Mike, here's the scenario for you. Shaun has just been kind of irritable and you guys have been you're roommates.
Turns out I can go over and look at his
You're
iPad.
buds, yeah, and you've got his iPad, and he's like, "Don't look at my iPad, okay? Don't look at my tabs open on my browser." And
Fuck the world. Fuck everybody,
He's
especially Mike.
And just on repeat.
what happens if and he's been telling you, I've been writing this amazing story.
And that's all.
It's fucking phenomenal, and it's just like he's like, I can't wait for you
it's
to
like
read it, experience
I
it.
hate Mike. I hate the pork tornadoes. I hate Mike. I hate the pork tornadoes. This is my podcast. This is my podcast. This is my podcast. I don't know how I'm going to react to that.
And then all of a sudden in the background you hear like somebody put on like the album like Shining like and you're like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Is this free country?
I mean,
As if I'm just expressing my creative outlets.
This is poetry.
Yeah.
It actually looked like some poetry I've read. I'm like, that's not poetry. They're like, no, it's fucking art.
It's
And
my art.
awesome.
Okay? It's my art. You don't get to just tell me what my art is.
Yeah, this is the whole end of this is like
I gotta say I love you in the making of documentary. You can see Kubrick coming up with the upshot of Jack talking to Wendy through the door. You know, you can see him just like looking around with like a lens, like I don't know about this. He's like,
and he finds
let me just try this. And it's just like, oh my god, like one of the most famous shots ever. It's just like he's just like, oh, just try it. Let's see what happens.
the here's Johnny.
Well, it's
He's still locked in, right?
Looking up in the walk-in.
Yeah.
That's just. How do you even think of that?
It's fucking.
That's
so
the
good.
last shot I would think to make.
Yeah. Well, and I think it adds a lot of unease and a lot of like inverted perspective. No pun intended. Like that the knob is on the other side. It feels like to you, and it's very unnerving. You know, she had a lot of trouble with that door. I gotta say, she's like, I know she's probably stressed, but it's just a door and it's just a hand, and you just gotta pull the thing. Like she struggled a lot,
Quite a bit,
and it was pretty upsetting. And but she did get him in there. But how did he get out?
There's a lot of theories on that too. I didn't look at them.
I think at this point,
you're just gonna let this go? Old Grady let him out, huh?
Yep. The hotel let him out.
The hotel let him out.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I guess. Like it's something I'm just like I was doing so much research for this and like I saw that I'm like
well there's so many stupid theories on not stupid, sorry. There's so many theories on it that just go through and none of them give any definitive answer.
Yeah, no, they do not. There's no definitive. You could not tell me this is what this movie is about and this is what exactly is happening.
No.
You can't tell me that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's the idea of this movie.
yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
What about the face in the door? I mean, obviously this is just a movie about him walking around and knocking holes in doors and just
That's all
yelling.
this is.
That's all
That's all this movie is, obviously.
Yakety yak. Don't hold back. I didn't like. I heard that was ad lib. The Here's Johnny.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't know why. I don't like this pop culture reference in this movie.
It doesn't make it's like he just
doesn't
did
feel
it.
right.
It doesn't make any sense, but like it's just so somehow so synonymous.
It is.
And
It's
one of
the
the
most famous line.
One of the most famous lines of any movie, and
Well-
and then Kubrick didn't even get it.
No, because he's British.
He lives in London. He's
Okay,
from New York, but he lives in London. He's like, I haven't watched that show. I'm sorry, dude. He's like, but
Because it was ad lib.
he was this close to cutting it out.
And it's one of the most famous lines.
It's one of the most famous lines of the whole thing. And thank God he didn't have to go and get a new door for that because reshoot it.
Jesus.
Also, he was so good at axing those doors down. I think they went to 60 of them because he's a volunteer firefighter in real life.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Jack Nicholson is.
He axed down doors because they're made like doors that are breakaway.
Yeah.
You know, like breakaway glass bottles and things like that. Same thing with the door. He went right through them.
Yeah.
Where do you think? I like to think about because I clearly ruined last week's movie of 51st Dates at the end.
Yeah, you did.
I'm going to ruin this one
course.
again. Wendy and Danny. Wendy doesn't know shit about driving a snowcat. She has no clue where she is. She slept the whole way up. She does not know where she's going.
Yeah.
No one knows she's out and about in the world's worst snowstorm ever. Her and Danny get lost and die in a snowcat.
They're dead, huh?
There is no fucking way. And even if they survive, then what happens? They're like, what's going on? Oh, my husband murdered, like he turned into a psychopath and then he tried to kill us. What?
Wait, what?
Like there's the aftermath of this story is going to be a lot. Immediate aftermath is going to be tough.
We'll go through an alternate ending that they had in a little bit, but let's see. I don't know, you might be right.
Okay,
you might be right.
The maze. So rewatching, right? I totally had the thought in the maze. I was like, it was classic AJ watching the Olympics. It's just like, well, you're just gonna follow the fucking footsteps.
At some point, turn around.
I mean, he's just gonna follow the footsteps in the snow. This kid's getting fucking axed. This kid's getting axed, and it's just like, and then it was like, oh, okay, they did think of that. I'm not that smart. Okay, the movie is smart. Okay, yeah. So they gave it the kid the out and everything. Again, Jack's hollering. It's just like,
no. The last lines in this movie are just his name.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
That's all anybody says.
Yeah. It's fucking that part again. Like I just kept thinking about after I read it that was so hot in that studio, in that set and everything. He's like sweating, you know what I mean? And then
but trying to pretend like he's cold,
pretending that he's cold, and he does a great job of it. I mean, he does an amazing job of it. That it's just like it's. I just kept thinking about that though. Like it's like 90 degrees in that fucking thing.
The shots in this movie are, I mean, obviously incredible. Like the symmetricalness of everything is great. And when he's axing the door, the quick whip pan when he's axing.
Oh
it
yeah,
is so fucking cool. And then like the tracking shot of Jack Nicholson in the hedge maze with like the lights peering down underneath him. He's just kind of hoveling and looking forward, doing the Kubrick stare as he's moving. It's just so fucking good.
Terrifying, man.
But it's also kind of apt that he does this trick of like retracing his steps or anything, because it's kind of like a Looney Tunes thing. It's kind of like a Roadrunner thing, which he was watching.
That's right.
Earlier in the thing, so it's kind of like just a little subtle thing. Like that's maybe why he thought of that. You know, just being a kid.
He learned that from cartoons or something.
There's a lot of cartoon references in this almost. Then call him Doc, like Bugs Bunny does, and
there's like
the
a
things and
Slippy Slappy or whatever on the door of. What was one of the 7 dwarfs?
Yeah,
Slippy Slappy.
Slippy Slappy.
Samsonite.
Maybe it was Drowsy. I don't know.
Well, you guys got anything else you want to talk about here in this movie before we wrap it up?
I mean, there's the bear blowjobs.
Would we need to talk about that?
No. One more thing. I just like that the soundtrack in keeping with like the Overlook kind of being a living, breathing character and a thing in this movie is like when the soundtrack is like all like the chants, all like the human.
The hotel has finally become alive.
It's now becoming alive, and now it's like manifesting this noise. It feels like it Wendy can hear it. You know, it's just so.
It really does.
You know,
it feels like she's hearing what we're hearing.
There's certain instances where, like, even the soundtrack lines up with her screams too, where it's just like, and when she's in the bathroom and he's breaking through, he's like, "Wendy, here I am," or whatever. And she screams, and there's like a screech of a violin too. And then like when he's first going to the bar, and like it's just like random violin strikes.
Yeah,
one of them lines up with him doing this. It's just so. I mean, I don't know if it's luck. It can't be.
No, we like to say there's no chance that this is luck in this movie.
It's hard to let go of a lot of things in this, like for that reason, and I get it, but at the same time, it there's parts of it that do just kind of drive me nuts, like thinking about. So I don't know, man. Did you say there was an alternate ending?
There's an alternate ending in this thing. So apparently it was released, and I think after maybe 3 days, maybe 3 weeks, it was Kubrick himself pulled it. But the alternate ending had Wendy and Danny surviving and them ending up in a hospital. And Mr. Ullman comes and says that we couldn't find any trace of whatever the hell you were talking about. Jack's not around.
The hotel's fine.
Dick Halloran's not even there. We don't know where he is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your husband's dead. But then he gives Danny the tennis ball. And I
kind of like that better.
You think you do?
I think I like that better.
Wow. Well, and again, it kind of adds to the point of the speculations of things of they're all going crazy, or maybe Danny's not the only one who has The Shining. You know, that maybe they all do to some degree at this point, or as they're going more crazy, and Danny's projections of it. I don't know. It's very, because she is experiencing those visions near the end, her looking into the bedroom and seeing the bear, seeing the blood from the elevator. Those are the things, and the ballroom in dust and skeletons. She is experiencing that now too. So like that might wrap it up easier for, honestly, Wendy more so than anybody in this whole experience if it was ending like that. So
I just have one more thing, if you'll just bear with me. It's kind of about this movie and about film criticism in general. The fact that this film has maybe the most interpretations more than any other movie ever made is not an accident. The truth is, no matter how many theories there are about what this movie is truly about, they are all right. I think this film was meant to be watched many, many times. It is meant to make you think about it. It stays with you. Whether you think it's simply a ghost story or Kubrick's confession on faking the moon landing, or it's a metaphor for the genocide of the American Indian, or it's a metaphor for the damaged American family and the abuse of a father and a husband, then they are all correct. A great film is meant to flow, meant to ever change over time. And that's why I think, like, even like criticism, we do tend to make fun of people, like in our segment, AJ's reviews or whatever. We tend to make fun of them, but it's only because they don't offer anything to us. And if they do offer something to us, it is kind of comical sometimes. But to hammer in the point where it's just like, whatever you think about a movie, you're not wrong. Like, your opinion is not wrong, and whatever, even if you come up with something like it's all about Kubrick's confession of the moon landing. It's like, okay, fine. There's some evidence there. It's kind of cool, Just kind of throwing it out there, I guess. But it just made me think about the whole thing that we do in general. But I'm sorry, I'm done.
I like that wrap up. Honestly, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, it is time to give our critical modern day ratings of this movie. AJ, what do you think about this, man?
This is honestly probably the toughest review for me to give, because like when you have to watch it critically, it's almost impossible to do in like 2 viewings of it, and on this movie in particular. And you guys brought up things I didn't notice. You brought up things I thought about. Then you brought up another way that I thought about, a different way I thought about the same scene or scenario or part of the movie or underlying tone. And you can think about this movie in about 100 different ways. And I think that a big part of why, if I really want to get critical, rewatchability is a major deal to me.
I agree.
For giving a movie a rating, and to be able to rewatch this, even though it's a little too spooky, it still draws me in enough that I could sit down and watch this movie again, not be completely creeped out, and appreciate what's going on and try to catch what everyone else is trying to catch as well.
Right.
So doing that together creates an awesome experience, and I got to say, I'm going to go ahead, and I think this might be the first time I've ever done this, but agree wholeheartedly with critics and everyone else, 8.4.
You're just saying that so Shaun doesn't disown you as a friend. Shaun, what do you have to say, buddy?
You're right. It was. I'm actually going to give this. I'm actually going to give this movie a 2.37.
That's what I expected.
Okay. Right, you know what? I respect that.
Nope. 8.4. Shaun, what do you got to say?
This movie ever changes for me. Every time I watch it, I notice something different. And like I said, all the theories hold water. If you really dive into them, you can kind of get whatever you want out of them. The performances are legendary. Jack Nicholson in this movie is the Jack Torrance, no matter what. Danny Lloyd is the best kid performance of all time, and we didn't really talk about the abuse that Stanley Kubrick gave to Shelley Duvall, which was kind of staggering, and it kind of tampers this movie a little bit. He really fucked with her a lot. But regardless, I can't not say that this movie is a masterpiece. It is a 10 for me. I think it is the most effective horror movie of all time.
That's what I expected out of you, Shaun.
Now let me tell you,
1.2.
Well, actually,
no, I'm not sure. I'm having a differing opinion as I go. I don't think I've watched this enough times.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because my initial reaction is like, I don't feel like this is a scary movie. I agree with Stephen King said it's a fancy car without an engine.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, yep. I agree with you. I don't understand what the hype is. The scenery, the imagery is unbelievable, and the dialogue's unbelievable, but it's like, what's the fucking story? I don't understand. But then the more you dive into it, you're like, oh, okay. No, I really do like that. So like,
Yeah.
my rating is continuously going up. I was a 1. I think it will continuously go up from here. But at this moment in time, like I thought it was going to be lower. I'm diving deeper. It's raising as we speak. I'm a 7.2. And I have a feeling it will every time I watch it, it will go up higher and higher.
I have that feeling too.
And I'll have to come back and get it. So that is an 8.53 for a post rating. That is officially just out of the top 5 for us. That is right below Sandlot, right above Stand By Me.
Nice. Cool.
As a group rating, I feel like that's fairly doable.
Another
for where we're
Stephen
at.
King
Another Stephen
adaptation.
King, yeah.
There you go, man. Well, we hope you enjoyed the episode. It was a little long, but what did you expect from a movie like this?
It's our longest movie we've done.
We
so.
literally could have
point.
talked for 2 more hours on
I
this.
agree.
So thanks for being here. Tune in next Wednesday for another great episode. It's back to Mini Bite Land.
Woo!
In a highly requested subject matter, we are going to hit Nintendo 64. And after that, been talking about it for a long time, OG Batman.
Oh.
Michael Keaton. We are doing it. If you're new to the podcast, go back this time last year. Check out our mini bite about the original NES. Fits right nice in time with Nintendo 64.
There we go.
And it is time to honor our beautiful, amazing patrons. We got to tell you all about these amazing people
wanna
that are
split
high
these
tiers.
These people.
I'm just going to go for it.
Okay, man.
proud of
Ready?
you.
Ready for this? Dane, Joel, Robin Fawcett, Tony B, Nick Merulla, Mark Pryor, Keerlana, Jordon, Elisha, Nick Fulkerson, Camden Griffith, Francisco Rivera, Cameron J, Bud Larsen, Big Andy, Katie Beeks, Travis Hunziker, Bryan Hernandez, Greg Jackson, Mr. and Mrs. Roommate, Cale James, Jason Davis, Emilio Perez, Shaun Dixon, Skyler Brunssen, Jordon Hooten, Brynna Misener, Willie Cox III, Jenel Lewis, Joseph Thomas, Marshall G, Ryker Garrison, Ryan Carlton, Josh Miller, Connor Macy, Jason Botsford, Stephen Moore, Chris Pryor, Paul Diaro, Jason Hahn, Moth Maiden Creations, Travis Scanlon, Eric Hine, Michael Hod, Gary McCarthy, Corey Vaughn, Damian Zemek, Ranger Rick and Subalu, that's my parents, Zachary Huron, Dallas B, Kitty Witch, Chaos, Revis, David Wagoneer, Tim Nash, I always fall apart, Mike Zacher, Dwayne Van, Zachary Moore, Robert Venz, Joey Piamonte, Cole DeRocher, David Waters, Alan Cross, Shaun, Zerophonic, Amy N, Ryan Osh, Samuel Miller, David Gold, Channing Rankin, Anthony Stone, John Devlin, Zachary Jones, Seth Murray, Tina Hansen, Roland and Julie, Lee Lodell has multipass, Joshua Goodman, Lance Davis, Jesse Anderson, Mike being Mike, James DeHart, Dale Prestupia, Lana Croft, Anthony Guidi, Mike Wheeler, Andrew Sawtell, Eric Harding, Jarrett Layoff, Gabe B, Aaron Baker, Ryan Grabsky, Michael Nash, Adam Bathen, Ryan Weaver, Quentin Moore, Aaron Vandergriff, Zach Evans, Willard Brown, Justin Woolley, and Todd Fajot. Woo! Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. Please stay in touch with us by following on all of our social media platforms at Confused Breakfast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and Confused Be Fast on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice right now.
Also, we have merch. You know you want to rep the Confused Breakfast in public. Mugs, stickers, shirts, all kinds of goodies. Go to confusedbreakfast.com for a direct link.
And don't forget about our voicemail number, 319-804-9596. Links to everything you could ever need from us are in the show notes or at confusedbreakfast.com. This includes a way to follow all of us individually in our personal projects that we want you to check out. Mission of the day, tell your friends about us. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Before we start the episode, can I get each of you doing your best Kubrick stare right into your respective cameras? Shaun, move your glasses up or down or something.
How about off?
There we go. That's terrifying. AJ, give us a Kubrick stare right into your camera.
You can't ask me to do this because then I just laugh my ass off.
Can I save that? Wait, can I save the media?